the time the season ends until now, and not go hard in the 3 days leading up to round one on Thursday. So we'll do plenty of that today, of course, and all week long with, a slew of guests. Today, Eric Wood, none other than Eric Wood, our regular Monday 4 p.m. in-season guest, will join us for a look at the Bills' offseason to this point and take a look ahead to what he might anticipate on Thursday and, for that matter, the entire weekend. So excited to reconnect with Eric here at 4 o'clock. At 5, Sal Capaccio will join me. Sal has got a piece up at WGR550.com laying out what the Bills are up to as they begin a first round of off-season voluntary conditioning work. Some videos available of some players in and out. There's really no way for anyone to take attendance out there, so we don't know who is and who isn't there. So if you're wondering about James Cook, I got nothing for you. I'd be surprised if he were there, but you never know. I don't want to assume that he's not either, and I don't have a way to tell you. So anyway, we'll talk to Sal about that, and of course, the draft as well. And then at 6, we will close up where we are going to begin today on the Sabres with Paul Hamilton. He will join me. We had the timing of the exit interviews. We had some players on Friday, more on Saturday, and then we had to wait until Saturday afternoon when our show was not on the air for Kevyn Adams and Lindy Ruff to speak, which they did at length. Both men sat for, close to an hour. It was reminiscent of what Kevyn Adams did on trade deadline day when there were just a few, Paul Hamilton and a couple of Buffalo News reporters on hand, Mike Harrington, I think Lance Lasowski. Anyway, on trade deadline day, and Adams spoke for like 45 or 50 minutes that day. Anyway, they went long, lots to say, and we're squarely into, speculation about what the offseason is going to be. I guess we're still waiting on Kevyn Adams to have meetings in Florida with the owner, Terry Pagula. But as of now, Adams told us it'll be 2 weeks this coming Thursday, I think, or Tuesday. I don't remember what day Adams was on with us in that final week of the season. It was last Tuesday, the Leaf game, when Kevyn joined us. And he said, rather emphatically, Lindy Ruff would be back. I guess we'll see about Adams. There is some speculation in the air. Elliot Friedman pondering changes to the Sabres front office. He stopped short, though, of predicting that anything really substantive is going to happen to Adams. What I read from Friedman, I didn't listen to the podcast, but he gets to, could Adams have a change in title or something to that effect? I'm not sure about that. So I don't know. That stops well short of something, change could be in the offing here. We all, I think, agree that something should be done. Something being done is warranted, but it certainly doesn't feel like that's going to happen. I suppose, again, that could change depending on how Terry Pagula likes or dislikes the answers to the questions he may have for Adams whenever they do get together to discuss the way forward here. One thing stuck out to me from the weekend, and I'm not sure, but I think this was pretty early on in the meeting with the media, where Adams just kind of sort of volunteered that he still feels like they should be a playoff team. And I want to play the whole thing. I'm usually not the guy who gets really fired up about the stuff they say. That's more Mike's role in our relationship. I'm usually like, they don't really mean what they're saying anyway. They're just trying to get through the thing without ending up in a ditch, that kind of stuff. But there's one particular excerpt, I think especially the very beginning of it, kind of stood out to me and to me warranted some discussion. Here's a clip of Kevyn Adams addressing the media from Saturday.
I believe we should be a playoff team right now, and we failed. So it's owning that, taking my responsibility for that, and then moving past that and saying, here's how, I see us improving and what we can do to fix it. As always, just being very honest in my conversations with Terry to say where I think that I've made mistakes and where I think that we can fix certain things, and that's what I'll do. But I do believe that we're closer than farther, but the words are the words. We have to win hockey games, and I understand that. I
like the end. The words are the words, and there's just no question that the words, if anything, I may be guilty. You can tell me if you think I'm overreacting. The very start of that, I believe we should be a playoff team. really bothered me. And maybe it's a sign of an unhealthy relationship that we're all in with this hockey team. Because, maybe that's just some of a throwaway, but I believe we should be in the playoffs. Sounds to me very much like someone who does not have a grip on what transpired here, what this season was, what this season came down to. Because should be in the playoffs sounds like something you would say about a team that was very close to making the playoffs and right on the cusp of making the playoffs and just missed because, I don't know, the refs allowed a Hudson Fasching goal to stand when he clearly kicked it in 2 years ago. Like they were a point out that year, should be in the playoffs. I know it's a one little call, and who knows if it would have determined a change in how things ended. But the Sabres finished 12 points out of the playoffs. For all the hot finish that they had, they did get very cold again at the end and then managed to get Lindy his 900th career win on the final game of the season against the mighty Philadelphia Flyers, one of two teams in the Eastern Conference to finish behind you in the standings. So this was not a close call. This was not a team that was right there all year. This was a team that was buried by Thanksgiving and never recovered. And I don't know, should be in the playoffs? Should be in the playoffs. Your special teams were abysmal. You scored 43 power play goals, gave up 57 while you were a man down. Congrats on the 10 shorthanded goals. That closes the gap, but you're a minus on special teams. Both units were in the bottom third of the league on the season. Penalty killing was a little better than power play, but holy cow. Goaltending regressed. The overall defensive play was terrible. Hey, congrats on the 5-on-5 scoring. I shouldn't be so cranky about that. That's a very good sign and can be a sign of a team that, should be getting better results than finishing 12 points out of the playoffs. But how does I believe we should be in the playoffs right now land on Sabres fans that watch this season go by? A 14th straight without being in the playoffs, actually. I didn't think it was possible for Kevyn Adams to really say anything that would frustrate me to this level anymore, because mostly, like I already said, my standard disclaimer, I'm not usually the one who overreacts to this sort of stuff, but it wasn't close. You built a young, flawed team still. Yes, you did a couple good things, really. I don't think it's really debatable. Ryan McLeod was a good idea. That has worked. Jason Zucker worked. That was a good idea. Maybe both guys could have been a more help 2 seasons ago when they were coming off that 1-point miss and really needed to establish more of a defensive identity. But anyway, whatever. Good ads. But overall, this team was still too young, too inexperienced, too prone to mental lapses when pressure was on and games were tight and the standings were still relevant. You built a flawed team again and want to sit there on the locker room clean out and tell me I believe we should have been a playoff team? I mean, are you looking for some kind of special credit for something that you didn't do? Because I'm very confused. Either you're delusional, and I would not want to accuse Kevyn Adams of genuinely being delusional about their results and the team he has built, or he's just saying something to try to get through the news conference. But we're closer than we are farther. You're 12 points away. And I don't know if this is another version of whatever he was trying to get across to me and Mike a couple of weeks ago about the 13-game losing streak and how, their expected goals in half of those games was good enough. And what? You dropped 13 in a row. Nothing, not a single call-up, nothing happened during that time. And I'm going to listen to you months later tell me you believe that you should have been a playoff team. I mean, it sounds to me like you think a lot more of what you've built here than the results tell you. I mean, the results tell you everything. There is no should have been. There is no I believe. There are the standings, and there are the underlying numbers that often result in you being where you are in the standings, and the Sabres were bad at enough stuff, or flat out terrible at enough stuff, that they finished 12 points out of the playoffs. I'm just having a very tough time today with really all weekend. I heard about that on Saturday evening, and I just thought, what are we doing here? I really believe we should have been a playoff team. Like, there just was nothing. Like, what went wrong exactly? That derailed you. I can't. I don't have it. I don't have an answer. I don't expect you to either. But if you want to kick this around, 803-0550, it really annoyed me hearing that from him, because I don't. It just sounds like the kind of thing I could see Terry Pegula sort of nodding at and going, yeah, well, I do like, because, out here, there are times, I'll say it comes out in natural conversation, talking about them. I like a lot of the pieces. They've got some good players here, but there just is not enough. The number one line that they finished the year with, is maybe a prime example of this to me. Because Kulich centering their number one line, Zach Benson on the left wing and Tage Thompson on the right wing, they got good results with that line. Thompson came back alive as a top scoring player in the league. Like, he looks like a stud again. And that combination toward the tail end of the season had at least something to do with that. But here we are now, like, hearing the GM say, I believe we should be a playoff team. We should be in the playoffs right now. And we're closer than we are farther. Well, what was your best line? That was, right, Benson, Kulich, and Thompson. We're talking about a 20-year-old winger and a 21-year-old centerman with now grizzled veteran Tage Thompson. Is that going to be my plan going into next year? I mean, Josh Norris is somewhere in this mix, presuming he's not, absolutely made of glass and will actually be able to play some games for this team, in addition to the 3 that he played after coming here at trade deadline time, inheriting an injury. It's a great story. I don't know what to expect there, but maybe he takes the place of Kulich, and then you're maybe okay with everything. And maybe you can put Zucker up there with Thompson and Norris, and there's your veteran, because those guys are going to play all the top lines for the other teams, and I'm just really worried already. It's months away, and I'm worried about them rolling that out there to play 20 to 22 minutes a night and having to deal with the bumps and bruises and the learning curve for the young guys again. As that is, I think, almost definitively, in my opinion, the thing that has continued to trip them up. It's either young guys who don't know how to do it, or like midterm veterans like Thompson and Tuck. These guys aren't at the end of their careers, more like, say, Zucker is closer to the end of his career. They're like in the middle of their primes. They're not new. They're not young. They're pretty experienced. But do they know how to buckle down a game and play the way you need to play to win hockey games when there is pressure to perform and the standings still matter and you're in a playoff spot and all of it? I've just seen no sign whatsoever from this team that they can do it. I almost entirely, and I'm not positive that I'm right about this, because I don't know what various teams that the Sabres beat in this hot stretch near the end of the season, what level of A game I was getting from those teams in those games. Maybe I got their absolute level best because they were playing for seeding, but it's very possible it was, it's Tuesday night and we're in Buffalo. I don't know, let's just get through this. We're in the playoffs either way, seedings, whatever. I just think good stretches where you play responsible hockey, you play, to quote our buddy Paul Hamilton, the way Lindy Ruff wants them to play, against teams down the stretch. I just think I never want to buy it. You know, and this isn't the there can't be carryover like momentum from one offseason, you know, through the offseason to the next season. I mean, of course there isn't that. But, you know, did they prove anything to anyone? Did they prove anything to themselves? I hope not, because they had no pressure on them to perform. And, you know, good for them, they did. But when it doesn't count, really, when you know you're just playing out the string, I think that's a very different mental headspace than we really need this game. And, it's starting to go the wrong way. And that all that sort of stuff. So, look, I'm sure, you know, we can all find, I watched them all, you know, we can all find pockets of those games that we really liked, where they looked really good. Paul will cite this example in Washington where the Sabres were, you know, just filling the net, but it got tight, right, back to 6-5, and the building's roaring, and Ovechkin has scored, and oh my gosh, and, you know, a few months earlier the Sabres would have unraveled, and they didn't. Okay, sure, I mean, that happened, but it's just not. It's not the same as doing it in December to me. So I was pretty annoyed about, I believe we should be in the playoffs right now. If I've got any company, more than happy to welcome you into the program. 803-0550 is the phone number if you want to get in on that. The playoffs, yes, kids, that's right. The playoffs did start this weekend. I watched a little of most every game. I'm sorry, I did not make it to 10:30 last night for Vegas and Minnesota, or 10, whatever it was. That Leaf game got sideways. They pretty much dominated Ottawa, and check please, I'm out. But dabbled the others Saturday. You know, Winnipeg was tested. That was tight. I mean, they were behind in the third period. They didn't score the winner until inside 2 minutes to go in the third period, and then added on an empty netter. So that was tense. The other game on Saturday got really sideways by the end, but that Dallas and Colorado game was really tight. And if you see 5-1 and just think Colorado outclassed them, I would pump the brakes on that. The goalie for Colorado, Mackenzie Blackwood, not like really a household name, but it's his crease to run with for Colorado, I thought played great, especially early in that game. And Dallas is down some guys, but that game was 3-1 for most of the third period, and then an empty netter, and then the dreaded, I think there was the dreaded goal after the empty netter. Like, put the goalie back in, score again. I hate that goal. It's the worst goal you can ever give up, and that happened, I think, to Dallas. Anyway, that was that. Carolina outclassed New Jersey, which was entirely predictable. I don't think there's a first-round series you should be more confident in than Carolina and Jersey. I just don't think Jersey, you know, with Jack Hughes, I'd say maybe they have a puncher's chance there, but without him, I think they're going to get run over, and they definitely did last night. Mentioned Leafs and Ottawa that got a little nasty at times, but Toronto was clearly the better team, and Vegas did beat Minnesota last night. We've got a couple of game ones tonight and a couple of game twos. So the NHL has chosen to, I don't know, space out the starts of all these series. We still don't have Tampa and Florida on the board until tomorrow. They play game one of their first-round series tomorrow, but Winnipeg and St. Louis will play some game two action tonight. Dallas and Colorado, the same. And then we've got Montreal, getting going with Washington. I think that's the first game of the night. To go along with Edmonton and L.A. meeting for a fourth straight season. L.A. has home ice there. Edmonton has beaten them the 3 previous years. So we'll see about how that all goes. But the Sabres, I believe we should be in the playoffs. Kevyn Adams on Saturday. I'm talking about that to start. We'll shift as we go, of course. NFL Draft Talk at 4 with Eric Wood and Sal Capaccio at 5. Paul Hamilton and the back end of the show at 6. Lots of time for you. You want to get in. And as I said, we'll segue into the draft at any point here. So if you got thoughts on that, you're just waiting for that, consider the door opened on that subject as well. But anything from the weekend of the NHL, and especially the Sabres hierarchy, having this news conference where Adam said he believes they should be a playoff team. 803-0550 is the number. Mike is out.